This footage shows the detention of the Crimean Tatar Rustem Osmanov. He was accused of participating in the Crimean Tatar volunteer battalion named after Noman Chelebidjihan, according to the message of the occupying department of the Federal Security Service of Russia in the annexed Crimea. Osmanov was sentenced to 6 years, a year in prison and 5 in a strict regime colony. He was detained on his way from mainland Ukraine to Crimea through the Armyansk checkpoint controlled by Russian special services, human rights activists reported. In June, the Supreme Court of Russia recognized as terrorist and banned the Crimean Tatar volunteer battalion named after Noman Chelebidjihan. In 2014, its servicemen took part in the economic blockade of the annexed Crimea. Since then, the Russian security forces can detain anyone, calling them a militant from this battalion. Only during the first 3 months of Russia's full-scale invasion in Ukraine, more people were detained on the peninsula allegedly for membership in the battalion than during the last 4 years.
The Russian special services see a real threat in the ability of the Crimean Tatars to organize themselves and take civil actions. They cannot allow such actions in their back, and by intensifying repressions, they expect to intimidate the local population in order to completely eliminate the possibility of such scenarios. And this unfortunately means that the number of so-called Chelebidjihanovets in the cells of the Simferopol pretrial detention center will continue to grow in the near future, regardless of the degree of involvement of new defendants in any formations. From the message of the Zmina Human Rights Center.
The Crimean Supreme Court left activist Enver Krosh accused in the Hizbut Tahrir case under arrest and rejected the defense's complaint, Krosh lawyer said. The hearing was held behind closed doors.
These people are not criminals, and Enver Krosh said in his speech that he did not understand at all what he was doing in the pretrial detention center, because he did not commit any crimes. We are talking about an audio recording of 2015 in the Jankoy Mosque, where people discussed religious topics, everyday topics and various topics of a socio-political nature, and today he faces up to 20 years in prison for this. Emil Korbadinov, lawyer of Enver Krosh.
They tortured him with electricity, they planted drugs on him, they said that he was dealing with drugs.
Hizbut Tahrir case on which Krosh is being charged is an international Islamic political party whose activities are not banned in Ukraine. But in Russia it was recognized as a terrorist 20 years ago. At that time only the prosecution, the Federal Security Service, was present at the court session. Now people in Crimea are persecuted only for possible involvement in the organization. Prosecutors in the Rostov Southern District Military Court demand that Crimean Tatar activists be sentenced to long terms of imprisonment. 16 years for Enver Ametov and Ruslan Suleimanov, 16.5 years for Osman Arifmemetov, 15 years for Yashar Muedinov and 17 years for Rustem Sheikhalayev, the Crimean Solidarity Public Movement reports. They are accused of terrorism. The arrested Crimean Tatars consider this to be political persecution. The Occupation Supreme Court of Crimea prepares up to 15 years in prison for the deputy chairman of the Majlis of the Crimean Tatar people and politician Nariman Jelalov, activist Asan Akhmetov and his relative Aziz Akhmetov. They are accused of blowing up a gas pipeline in the village of Perevalne. Despite the pressure and torture, the suspects do not admit their guilt.
Despite the lawlessness that we encountered, we are in no way discouraged, and we will do everything to show the lawlessness of these actions.
The world cannot sacrifice the indigenous people of the Ukrainian Crimea by going along with the criminal Putin, the leader of the Crimean Tatar people, Mustafa Dzhemilov, said on the Crimea platform. According to human rights activists, there are more than 120 political prisoners in the peninsula as a result of illegal decisions of the occupation courts, reported by Serhiy Kulyas, Yulia Bezborodko, UATV News.